Aye, what is going on with y'all, man? It is Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video. So y'all already know what's going on, alright? Alright, y'all. So check this out, right? So I was doing a little bit of digging with this whole Malcolm Jamal Warner thing, right? And I was going into some things about Bill Cosby as well, right? You know, I was just doing a little bit of digging with everything that happened back in the Me Too movement, as far as him serving 3 years in jail, and ultimately those charges ended up being dismissed. Y'all know he was accused by over 60 women of, drugging and the R word, right? I took it all the way back to 1996 as well, where something, very devastating happened in Bill Cosby's life. And y'all may know what I'm about to get to, but before we get into that, I want to read a few updates from this New York Times article about how Theo died, right? So these are the latest details on how he died in an area known for rip currents, right? So it says the beach in Costa Rica where Malcolm Jamal Warner drowned was known for its strong surf and dangerous rip currents and was not protected by lifeguards when he died on Sunday. A second man who was rescued from the sea that day was in critical condition. Now, I'm not sure if they said that man was swimming with Malcolm Jamal, or if he was a friend, or he was just another man who just happened to go under as well, if we want to believe that, right? This guy got out. He's in critical condition, and they took him to the hospital. They say he was swimming on the beach at the Caribbean side of Costa Rica, south of Limon. He was apparently swept away by a current around 2 p.m. on Sunday. 3 ambulances, a jet ski, and 9 rescuers were dispatched to the area. A popular tourist destination called Playa Grande, a spokesman for the Costa Rican Red Cross said in a statement that, that area was very popular for tourists is what I was trying to say. So it says Warner was pulled from the sea and given CPR for more than 20 minutes, up to 45 minutes that I saw in another article. But attempts to resuscitate him failed. A second man who was 35 years old was rescued and taken to a local clinic in critical condition. He was not identified, and no other details were given, right? Now, that area has waves that make it a favorite among surfers and is known for dangerously strong rip currents, right? Now, here's something that was interesting. Mike Geist, the vice president of Caribbean Guard, a group of about 35 volunteer lifeguards who patrolled 3 beaches in the area, said a lack of resources had left the beach where Warner died unguarded on Sunday. The group had temporarily moved its team to another beach that draws more people and had recently been the site of several rescues and a fatality. Check that out, y'all. I don't believe in coincidences. And there's always something that is going to seem way out of the realm of making sense, right? So just on this random Sunday, when, one of the most famous acts from one of the most famous shows in the 1980s happens to be at your beach, this day, no lifeguards are on the beach. In fact, they were temporarily moved to another beach that supposedly drawed more people. And at that beach, it had recently been the site of several rescues and a fatality. The vice president of the Caribbean Guard goes on to say, we had to make this judgment call, and it turned out to be bad. Saying they did not have funds to staff the beach every day. And it sickens my stomach that we weren't there, because I can't tell you how many days I personally spent there on that post. He said because of stupid money, we just did not have enough people to do it. The vice president said his friend, who was a surfer and a doctor, pulled Warner from the water that afternoon. They said Malcolm was on the floor of the ocean, and that his official cause of death was accidental, caused by asphyxiation by submersion. Y'all, they said the man was on the floor of the ocean. Think about this, though, about what I was just explaining. Just so happened, while y'all temporarily had to move, your lifeguards to another part of the beach that is highly populated, that was experiencing rescues and so on. Soon as y'all decide to do that, someone dies at the place where y'all were originally supposed to be guarding. What is the chances of that happening? It just doesn't make sense that out of nowhere they decide to move, places that they were guarding, and then boom, probably the most famous person to die on a Costa Rican beach dies. It just does not make any sense, y'all. Now, possibly the main reason I wanted to do this video, right? I found this article to be very interesting, and I want to show y'all two clips. One that comes from a video I did a long time ago. Y'all may have forgotten about it when Faison Love talked about Ennis Cosby, Bill Cosby's son, right? Then I want to show y'all, just kind of a short clip from Eddie Griffin when he was on Vlad TV. So this article is of Bill Cosby reacting to Malcolm Jamal's death, right? Bill Cosby said the sudden death of Malcolm Jamal Warner has taken him back to a dark time in his life, which is his son's murder, his own son's murder, right? Says when Bill got the call that Warner died on vacation in Costa Rica, it reminded him of being in the studio filming The Cosby Show in January 1997 when he got a call informing him that his son, Ennis Cosby, was shot dead in a failed robbery attempt. Bill Cosby said the news of Malcolm Jamal's death hit him the same way as his own son's death back in 97. He said the two even used to play together when they were younger. They were amazing together. This is Ennis Cosby. And now, if y'all didn't know, the Cosby Show was actually loosely based on Bill Cosby's real son, Ennis Cosby. So the role that Warner was playing was loosely based on Bill Cosby's real son, right? So I thought that was very interesting. But we're going to go ahead and get into this clip. It's maybe about 2 minutes long, where Faison Love talks about why Bill Cosby's son was killed. And Eddie Griffin talks about how, every black entertainer must leave Hollywood with dirt. Like you're not going to leave the game unscathed. There's going to be dirt thrown on your name, and if you don't get it by like some kind of, SAC, assault cases like the Diddy, the Cosby, the R. Kellys, if you don't have it put on you that way, the Michael Jackson thing back with the kids, if you don't get it that way, you're either going to be unalived and, you did it to yourself. You're going to be sacrificed, so on and so on. And I thought it was very interesting, because I guess it comes down to the fact of the whole Cosby thing. I don't even know if I want to say if you want to believe that he did a lot of that stuff or not. Yeah, it was like from the 70s to the 90s or the early 2000s that all of those women accused him. I don't know. I don't know. Something that was very interesting was that Hannibal Buress comedy clip that he did kind of before the whole Cosby thing happened, where it was almost like that R. Kelly type of situation where it was a known thing in the industry that he probably was doing this to these women, but the public just didn't know. And I can throw that little piece in there as well for y'all that may have forgot about it. But enough talking, y'all. Check this out.
Has the fucking smuggest old black man public persona that I hate. This gets on TV. Pull your pants up, black people. I was on TV in the 80s. I can talk down to you because I had a successful sitcom. Yeah, it was great women, Bill Cosby, so kind of brings you down a couple notches. I don't curse on stage, but yeah, you're a rapist, so take you saying lots of motherfuckers on Bill Cosby himself if you weren't a rapist. For the most part, it's fucking public Teflon image. I've done this bit on stage, and people don't believe. People think I'm making it up. I'm like, Bill Cosby, there's a lot of rape allegations. No, you do. That shit is upsetting. If you didn't know about it, trust me. If you leave here, Google Bill Cosby rape. It's not funny. That shit has more.
That he was trying to buy NBC. Do you think that had any precedence over, or the reason why all these people came out, saying that he did this to him because he was trying to make a power move in the black community, or just in the community in general as well, by buying NBC?
He was trying to be a beacon, and his son was murdered. Nobody ever mentions that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever mentions his son was murdered in the richest community in the world.
And it's Cosby, yeah.
That's true.
There hasn't been a murder there since.
Wow.
There's definitely, that's why, people have said, why are you riding so hard? Because it don't make sense. None of this whole case don't make sense. Like, what? You said in 1872, I did what?
Yeah.
When black people couldn't even look at white women? You were scared back then to say something? And then now they found out that the testimony was all fucked up, and the girl, Janice, they had other girls come in and testify who had nothing to do with it, and she's a drug addict. So it's all it's something else going on, man. There's always something else going on.
Your take on what happened with Bill Cosby, with the allegations and everything else like that.
Look, first off, you had to remember this was in the 70s. All right? I'm old enough to remember the 70s. The 70s is a different time. All right? The 70s, motherfuckers all had Coke spoons around their fucking necklace. You go to the damn disco, nigga, the line is laid out on the table. Toot, toot, all right? Yeah. When you want to level out after a hit of cocaine, you get a Quaalude, all right? Yeah. So did he rape these bitches? All of them said the same thing. We went to the room. Why would you go to the room of a known married man? Right. Number one.
Meaning they're down to fuck anyways. Why would you go to a hotel room of a known married man? And he incorporates this whole marriage thing in his comedy routines, and it's not a secret that he's married.
You understand me?
Okay. So they're down to fuck. Then they go back 30 years later and say, he raped me.
30 years. I don't understand that.
I mean,
that's like a motherfucker robbing me. And then I wait 30 years to call the police. I got robbed.
30 years ago.
In 1984.
Right, because if you notice, there was no...
And it's him!
Because it's past the statute of limitations, so there's no criminal charge.
There is a systematic effort to destroy every black male entertainer's image. They want us all to have an actress by name. Cosby raped a white woman in Colorado. Dr. Cosby raped 37 bitches and is still counting. Nobody leaves this business clean.
My point that I'm really getting to with this video, it's not really, for the sexual allegations that were against Bill Cosby, but, it kind of connects to the whole story. Because if you realize, even when Malcolm died, the media, they couldn't help but mentioning Bill Cosby charges, the show, even Malcolm went on record to talk about it, kind of, you know, tainting the success of the show and what they wanted it to be like, what they wanted the legacy to last as, right? But he said he was always going to back Bill Cosby, like he always had his back. They were still close. So, it's not completely about that, because even if there's a lot of people, I think where Eddie Griffin and Faison Love was getting at is they were saying that this is out of left field. They're basically saying they don't believe in the charges, that he didn't do that to over 60 women. The way Hannibal Buress said it, Hannibal Buress he was doing a show. He was drunk. You can tell. And we know most drunk people tell the truth. So I wouldn't be surprised if a good bit of that stuff is true. I mean, we know some of these guys in the industry, they do this kind of stuff. They get sick with money. I mean, Bill Cosby is to this day still worth $500 million, y'all. Even all the stuff he went through, they couldn't take his money. He is still worth $500 million. I don't even think Malcolm was worth upward of $10 million to this day. But it just lets you know, how much money Bill was actually making. But my point of this, Faison said that Ennis Cosby, Bill Cosby's son, was killed in one of the richest cities in America. He said there hasn't been one single murder in that city since Ennis Cosby died there and was murdered. Not one single murder. And I looked it up back when I first learned this, and he was right. There hadn't been one single murder there since Bill Cosby's son was killed. And the reason I showed y'all the Eddie Griffin clip when he was talking on Vlad is because it made me think about, it's pretty much true. Every major black successful entertainer, they all have something attached to them. Like I said, if they can't get you with the sexual allegations or something like that, you're going to be sacrificed. You're going to pay for that deal that you made. You make it onto the big screen, you become famous, you become this and that. Eventually, you pay for it, even if it's not, by your own doing. But, it's not me saying a lot of these people didn't do the things that they're accused of, because we know Diddy did a lot of the stuff he accused of. We know R. Kelly did sick stuff. We know that. It definitely seems like they're all going to end up going out the way they want them to go out. And Malcolm being like, the second biggest name basically to come off a show that was number one in ratings for over 5 years straight in the 80s. It's like one of the only shows to ever do that. Huge in the 80s, early 90s. And it's almost like you can say he had his time coming. It's not to sound like crazy about it. It's not to sound like you want someone to die or something like that. But this is the industry we talking about. No matter how much of a good person you think they are, it was still involved with devils, and eventually it's like the devil comes and collect. You're part of that industry, you got that fame, eventually the devil comes to collect. And a part of me just feels like maybe this is all around the whole Cosby thing as well, because in a sense, it's like they tried to take everything from Cosby. They didn't get his money. They took his son in 1997. And y'all saw Cosby said this death made him feel like it was his son all over again. So now they just basically took someone else who is very close to Cosby. It's like they already ruined his reputation. That's over with. He's looked at what he's looked at, even being the age he is now. But I don't know. I just thought this angle was interesting and it needed to be talked about because we can't forget about Bill Cosby's son. You know, and a part of me just feels like even Malcolm's death, which I believe to full blown be a sacrifice, had a lot to do with Bill Cosby, the show, and, you know, them still taking away, you know, still in a sense like tarnishing Bill Cosby's legacy, the show, the Cosbys, so on and so on. You know, I just feel like there's multiple angles at this, and definitely it's not happening for just no reason. You know, this didn't happen for no reason. But I don't know, y'all. Very interesting, man. I just wanted to get on here and talk to y'all about that. Mostly get y'all opinions, you know. I do a lot of these videos to hear what y'all gotta say. You know, I'm just in a way trying to present, you know, different kind of things and think about what may have really happened, why it may have really happened to Malcolm, because I don't believe he died the way they say he did. Found at the bottom floor of the ocean is crazy. So yeah, man, y'all let me know what y'all think about this video. Definitely give me y'all opinions on this one. That being said, it's Black Balloon, and I'm gonna see y'all soon. All right, I'm out.